Good morning, everybody. We are in Deuteronomy 33 this morning. I'm in my living room, which my wife is in the process of rearranging. Not today, because it's the Sabbath, but, you know, yesterday and tomorrow for sure. And so if you're wondering what this is, that is part of a mount for mounting a TV to the wall that's no longer there. And that's her cute little chair, and whoop. The best production. Hold on, I gotta tighten that knob. There we go. Anyway, that's where we are this morning. And we're in Deuteronomy 33. Yah willing, we'll get through 33 and 34 this morning. 34 is very short. And we'll literally close a chapter here. We can now say, in all honesty, that we have read the entire Tanakh, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy together, which is awesome. You know, and as I was reading this morning, before I turned the camera on, I was hit with almost a tinge of sadness, because we have to say goodbye to Moshe as well. And it's like, man, Moshe, you've been with us through 5 books here, more or less, right? 5 books. That's okay, because there's a handoff to Yehoshua. But I suppose we ought to start reading, or we'll never get to the end of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 33, page 323. 323 in the scriptures. And this is the blessing which Moses, the man of Elohim, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Yahuwah came from Sinai and rose from Seir for them. He shone forth from Mount Paran and came with 10,000s of set-apart ones. At his right hand, the law of fire for them. Indeed, he loves the peoples. All his set-apart ones are in your hand. And they sat down at your feet, receiving your words. They sat down at your feet, receiving your words. I instantly got an image of Yeshua feeding the 5,000, sit in the grass while we break this bread. They sat down at your feet and receiving your words. Moshe commanded us a Torah, an instruction, an inheritance of the assembly of Jacob, of Jacob, an inheritance. We're told this over and over again. You'll do this forever. You'll teach it diligently to your children. And when you stand up, when you lie down, when you walk about the way, put it on your doorposts and on your gates, right? This is an inheritance. It goes on and on and on, which is precisely why Yeshua in Matthew 5:17 says, till heaven and earth pass away, not one jot, not one tittle shall pass from this Torah till all be done, which, as we talked about in Deuteronomy 32, is the exact same heaven and earth that Moshe calls to witness against the children of Israel when Moshe gives his famous sermon, which we covered last week. I'd encourage you to go check that out. Moshe commanded us a Torah, an inheritance of the assembly of Jacob, of Jacob. And he was sovereign in Yeshurun. He was king in Yeshurun. What is Yeshurun? We see this 3 times in Deuteronomy and once in Isaiah. Yeshurun seems to be a colloquialism, a term of endearment for Israel. Yeshua. It's derived from Yeshar, which is a Hebrew word for like uprightness. Yesharun. Or like Yeshua. Interestingly enough, what a coincidence. But Yeshurun refers to Israel. It's like saying the government or Uncle Sam. Right? When we say Uncle Sam, we know who we're talking about. but it's a personification and endearment, right? So that's Yeshurun. And so here's Moshe. He was king in Yeshurun when the heads of the people were gathered, the tribes of Israel. Let Reuben live and not die, and let his men be numbered. And this of Judah. And he said, hear Yahweh, the voice of Judah, and bring him to his people. His hands shall fight for him, and you be a help against his enemies. And of Levi, he said, your Tumen and your Urim. These are the two sightseer stones that much is made of in the Book of Mormon. And no, I'm not a Mormon, and no, I'm not going to add any more to that comment than that. Your Tumim and your Urim belong to your lovingly committed ones. This is to the Levites, whom you tried at Massah, with whom you contended at the waters of Meribah, who said of his father and his mother, I have not seen them. And he did not acknowledge his brothers or know his own children, for they have guarded your word and watched over your covenant. They teach your right rulings to Jacob, which is Israel, which is Yeshurun, and your Torah to Israel. They put incense before you and a complete ascending offering on your slaughter place. O Yahweh, bless his strength and accept the work of his hands. Smite the loins of those who rise against him and of those who hate him, that they rise no more. And so there's a blessing here of the Levites and a curse for those that do not support the Levites. Interesting. It also seems that of all the tribes, as we'll see, that Moshe has the most words for the Levites. And it's interesting here that, and do not acknowledge his brothers or know his own children, for they have guarded your word and watched over your covenant, meaning that they are like so diligently involved in the work that they're doing, almost to it sounds like to the point of forsaking their family. There's a teachable moment. Coffee. Of Benjamin, he said, let the beloved of Yahweh dwell in safety by him, shielding him all the day as he dwells between his shoulders. And of Joseph, he said, blessed of Yahweh is his land, with the choicest from the heavens, and with dew and deep lying beneath, with the choice fruits of the sun, with the choice yield of the months, with the finest of the ancient mountains, and with the choicest of the everlasting hills, with the choicest of the earth and all that fills it, and with good pleasure of him who dwelt in the bush. Him who dwelt in the bush. It's a capital him. This is, remember Moses in the burning bush? This is Yahweh. And with the good pleasure of Yahweh, let it come on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him who was separate from his brothers. Remember, Joseph ends up being a lifeline for Israel. Because, why? Because he's at the right place through trial and tribulation, forsaken by his brothers, finds himself in a foreign land to be in the right place at the right time, for the Father to use him to speak truth to Pharaoh, so that food is stocked for the Egyptians, but also for the Israelites who are dwelling in Goshen, the land outside of Mitzrayim, outside of Israel. So that when there's a food scarcity in the land of famine and all the land, that Joseph was a prepper, and that there's food stockpiled so that they can eat and not die. There's a lot of instruction in there for us as well. Why would the Father allow me to go through this? Because there's something more important on the other side that he needs you for. His splendor is like a firstborn bull, and his horns are like the horns of a wild ox. With them he pushes the people to the ends of the earth. And they are the 10,000 of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. Of Zebulun he said, rejoice, O Zebulun, in your going out, and Issachar in your tents. They call peoples to the mountains, and there they slaughter slaughterings of righteousness, for they draw from the riches of the seas and the treasures hidden in the sand. And of Gad he said, blessed is he who enlarges Gad. He dwells as a lion and shall tear off the arm and also the crown. and he chooses the best for himself. For there the portion of the inscriber was hidden, and he came with the heads of the people. The righteousness of Yahweh he did, and his right rulings with Israel. So Gad's getting after it here, right? Or at least the implication is Gad will be getting after it. For he dwells, or I'm sorry here, for the righteousness of Yahweh he did. Gad is going to keep commands. Gad is going to be like a lion, dwells as a lion, tearing off the arm and the crown. It's like, oh, you're here to mess with me? Watch this. I don't care about your crown, right? And he chose the best for himself, for there's the portion of the inscriber was hidden. For he came with the heads of the people, the righteousness of Yahweh he did, and his right rulings with Israel. So Gad is, Deuteronomy 28. If you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, then you will be blessed. And of Dan, he said, Dan is a lion's cub that leaps from Bashan. And of Naphtali, he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with pleasure and filled with the blessings of Yahweh, possess the west and the south. And of Asher, he said, Asher is the most blessed of sons. Let him be accepted by his brothers and dip his foot in oil. Your sandals are iron and bronze, and your strength as your days. O Yeshurun, there's that word again. O Yeshurun, there is no one like Elohim. O Israel, there is no one like Elohim, riding the heavens to help you, and on the clouds in his excellency. The Elohim of old is a refuge. We need to hear that again. The Elohim of old is a refuge, and beneath our everlasting arms. And he drives out the enemy from before you and says, destroy. Thus Israel dwells in safety, the fountain of Jacob alone, of Jacob alone, in a land of grain and new wine. His heavens also drop down dew. Blessed are you, O Israel, who is like you, a people saved by Yahweh, the shield of your help, and he who is the sword of your excellency. And your enemies are subdued for you, and you tread down their high places. It's a hell of a blessing. And man, we need to remember this. Blessed are you, O Israel, who is like you, a people saved by Yahweh. That's us, y'all. That's us, the shield of your help, and he who is the sword of your excellency. Yeshua, Revelation 19, verse 11. And your enemies are subdued for you, and you tread down their high places. And then chapter 34. And Moshe went up from the desert plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which is opposite Jericho. And Yahweh showed him all the land of Gilead, as far as Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the land of Yehudah of Judah, as far as the western sea, and of the Negev, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, and the city of the palm trees, as far as Soar. And Yahweh said to him, this is the land which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, take your seed, I give it. I have let you look at it with your eyes, but you do not pass over there. And Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, died there in the land of Moab, according to the mouth of Yahweh. So Moshe goes to the top of this mountain, and Yah shows him, look, I kept my word. See all this land? This is the land I promised to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Jacob is Israel. Israel is Yeshurun. Yahweh tells Moshe elsewhere, oh, you'll see it, but you're not going in. And so now Moshe and Yah are on this mountain, and Yah is showing him. And Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, died there in the land of Moab, according to the mouth of Yahweh. That was it. And he buried him. Check this out. And he, it's a capital H, and Yahweh buried him. You'd miss that if you didn't see it with your own eyes, which is why I tell you guys, don't subcontract your faith to me. Read your Bible. Capital H, and he, and Yahweh, the Lord our God, buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor, and no one knows his burial place to this day. Could you imagine? I have to imagine that there was what the scriptures call some loving commitment there. I don't know of another place in this Bible where Yah digs a grave for his prophet, for his servant. It's incredible. And he and Yahweh buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor, and no one knows his burial place to this day. And Moshe was 120 years old when he died. His eyes were not dim, nor his freshness gone. And the children of Israel wept for Moshe in the desert plains of Moab 30 days. And the days of weeping in the mourning for Moshe were completed. And Joshua, son of Nun, was filled with the spirit of wisdom, for Moshe had laid his hands on him. And the children of Israel listened to him, as did Yahweh had commanded, and the children of Israel listened to him, and did as Yahweh had commanded Moshe. And since then no prophet has arisen in Israel like Moshe, whom Yahweh knew face to face. For all the signs and wonders which Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Mitzrayim, before Pharaoh, in front of Pharaoh, in the presence of Pharaoh, and before all of his servants, in the presence of all his servants, and in all the land, and for all that strong hand and all the great fearsome deeds which Moshe did before the eyes of all Israel. The end. I'm a big fan of Moshe. Now, we're not going to start Joshua today. I'm a big fan of Moshe. I'm a fan of the humanity of Moshe. I like that we see him angry. I like that we see him uncertain. I like that we see him worn out. He needs people to hold his arms up during this battle. And I like that we see him filled with the Spirit and working these miracles in the name of Yah. And that his countenance when he's in the presence of Yah was so bright that the children of Israel made him wear a veil because he was too bright. His face shone too brightly for them to look at. I like the man that Moshe was. I can relate to him. And it's weird even now, I kind of mourn his loss. But I get it. And what's incredible is that that man and that relationship that he had with Yah was but a shadow of what was to come. Who was to come? Yeshua. And it's why I implore y'all to read your Bibles. Because I can tell you that Yeshua was prophesied by Moses in Deuteronomy, or you can see it yourself. I can tell you that the Israelites in the days of Yeshua understood that he was Messiah because of the prophecies contained in the Torah and the prophets, or you can see it yourself. I can tell you that Yeshua makes it clear, oh, this is Jesus the Christ, makes it clear over and over again, specifically in the book of John, but in all the other Gospels as well, that you don't know Moshe, so you don't know me. I came not to destroy the Torah or the prophets, but to complete it. Till heaven and earth passes away, not one jot, not one tittle will pass from the Torah till all be done. I can tell you all of that, or you can see it for yourself. There was no man like Moshe. What's awesome is Yeshua wasn't just a man. He took Moshe to the next level. And in fact, the next thing that we're reading, which y'all will see on Sunday, is John chapter 8, the Gospel of John, where Yeshua goes deep with the clarification on the Torah of Moshe. Because what happens after Moshe dies is that the Father's word becomes adulterated, becomes a religion. The Israelites become box checkers, just checking the boxes of spirituality, churchgoers. And then we have after this, all of the prophets saying, Israel needs to return to the Father. And the way that we need to do that is a restoration through a king that brings the law back to the people of Israel. Some people call this the Mashiach, the Messiah. Well, that King of Kings, that Lord of Lords returns, and it's Yeshua, and he brings the law, and he brings clarification to the law that the religiosity, the Jewishness that becomes the Father's perfect law in the time of Messiah, he rails against, because it's doctrine and dogma of people. It's not the Father's perfect law. And so I love the completeness of the plan between the Torah and the prophets and the resurrection. We'll just say Moshe and Elijah, Eliyahu, and Yeshua, or Jesus. The fulfillment of, it's a beautiful thing. But I think that beautiful thing is lost on so many of us when we don't read our Bibles, or we only read a little bit of it. And so, thank you, Yah, for Moshe. Thank you, Moshe, for your obedience and for setting the stage for Yeshua. And thank you that this word continues to endure to this day, till heaven and earth passes away. Not one jot, not one tittle shall pass from the Torah till all be done. Well, all ain't be done yet, and heaven and earth are still here. Bless y'all. Shalom.